Been round the table. Start with you, Jonathan, on this relegation issue. There's a suggestion here that the team who finishes bottom of the Six Nations, invariably it's going to be Italy, would face a playoff against a team, for example, like Georgia, who beat Romania yesterday. They finished top of the so-called European Nations Cup. Anything wrong with that, or do you think it's disrespectful to Italy?
No, it's not Italy. Whoever finishes bottom, play against whoever finishes top from the the league below. And it's Georgia now, are a very good side. You had Georgia yesterday, 55,000 people watching them beat Romania, right? So they are serious kind of contenders, and you can't stop just keeping them, down. Like look at up in Argentina, they started up in the Super Rugby. Now they've got a team in the Super 15, so a rugby championship. So they're developing. So I think Italy should say, right, okay, like Parise looked really off yesterday, really, and as if he'd had enough. And you're thinking, look, if we're going to stay there, we've got to play against Georgia, maybe on a home and away basis, and then if we're good enough, we play. Because the Italians, with all the injuries, they don't want to play in the competition and get 50, 60 points to them. Maybe sometimes it'd be better to go back, play and develop players, like Carlo says, and then come back again the following year, because there's always an opportunity to come back. So it is tough on Italy this year. They had a lot of injuries, but it's whoever finishes bottom,
that's the point. I'm using Italy as an example. I mean, it adds a bit of jeopardy to the end of the season. Suddenly, you don't have dead rubbers. It could be Italy, it could be Wales. If Wales have a disaster,
I think
suddenly they face a
trying to evolve the game. Georgia showed in the World Cup they are a force, but I think if you're a Six Nations team, you've got to back yourself as well. If you'd win, be strong enough over two legs. So I think it's something that's worth looking at, definitely.
Or what you could do is have the Seven Nations and invite Georgia in. How do you feel about relegation or expanded the nations?
I think, we talk about the Tier 2 sides always staying the Tier 2 sides. The only way they're going to get to compete against the best teams in the world is if they're playing against them on a regular basis, not only 4 years when the World Cup comes around. Georgia proved in the World Cup they're a team to be reckoned with. They've gone above Italy in the world rankings. Why not have that opportunity and that chance? So, it's definitely something that could come in. And if you don't play well in the Six Nations, you're down here in the second competition, and it's an incentive to play well in that Six Nations. Then
thing is, we wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, if the tournament wasn't expanded from 5 to 6, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now.
True.
So I can understand from that point of view that it needs to be expanded. There can't just be a monopoly for it. Even though my first reaction is super protective and defend it to the hilt,
Well, Sergio was really annoyed when it came up in the news conference on Friday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though, because I mean, thing is, Italy, I mean, we've beaten everybody except England, so the first thing that comes to mind is that. But then, if you take a step back and look at it from a wider picture, I mean, they play, what, a two-year system round in the Six Nations B, and I mean, Georgia, they've won it 9 times in a row now. Yeah. So you can imagine, I mean, if logistically, if it does make sense, if it can be possible every 2 years that rotation can be put in place. The thing is, it makes Italy, for one, sharpen up life and fast-track the development system that needs to be, and puts pressure on them to make those better decisions.
Okay.